Hi, good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar on NetSuite SRP or Services Resource Planning. My name is Michael Round. I'm a junior NetSuite consultant here. I'll be taking you through just a general project management process from opportunity to cash today. So we'll take you through the whole project lifestyle of raising an opportunity, converting that to an estimate, converting it into a project, managing all your project management tasks and things like that, assigning time, assigning expenses, and billing it through to the customer. So if we start off, we'll move on to the first slide. So NetSuite SRP has got loads of functions in it. So at its core, you can process project management functions, project accounting, time and expense, resource management, and client management all in the same place. This offers a single 365-degree view for both project and product-based businesses, such as sort of consulting businesses, marketing services, IT services, software, advertising, resellers, and just general professional services. You can get real-time analytics and insights into projects, workflows, and activities, and you can keep all of your projects flexible to change as well, which we'll show you a little bit later. So, for example, this offers the flexibility. Say, for example, if you're managing a project, if for whatever reason part of your project is kicked back, it'll leave you flexible to kick it back automatically. It'll also leave you available to assign different quotes and estimates and sales orders to particular projects as well. So we'll go through all that a little bit later. Message take away from here is managing all of your SRP functions in a single integrated solution. Now, when you take the SRP offering and you pair it with NetSuite's existing tools such as product sales, billing, revenue recognition, financials, and analytics, you get a really, really powerful professional services automation tool where you can manage all your 3M databases, all of your sales, all your forecasting, all your project management, and bits like that all in one package. Because NetSuite's flexible and customizable, we can actually set up automation through workflows and scripting that allow you to customize NetSuite to actually fit your business. So going over to today's demo, we'll be having a look into 4 specific user roles in a traditional sort of professional services organization. Now, the organization we're going to be looking at today is sort of architecture services, selling architecture service specifically, but keep your mind open, it can be used for anything really, anything you sell, any services you sell, any projects you want to manage. So bespoke user access and dashboards can be tailored for 4 separate roles or as many roles as you need. And these aren't generic to, say, NetSuite itself. We can set up both roles and both dashboards specific to your business. So if you've got 3 very specific roles, each need to have 3 specific permissions, we can set that up. It's absolutely fine. And again, if one user might have to be assigned to multiple roles, we can also do that as well. So for example, I'm a consultant here at Nolan. I have my consultant access, and I also have access to a whole host of other different accounts and different views. So yeah, it's really nice to manage it that way. So before we're going to be going over today is our CXO role. So our general sort of high-level CEO, CFO, CAO, someone like that who's going to really review high-level metrics. We're going to be having a look at project manager, and we're going to be reviewing their functions. We're going to be having a look at the consultant, someone who will be inputting time and expenses and reviewing project tasks. And finally, we'll have a look at the financial controller. Now, obviously, this isn't extensive, but as I said, this is just for demonstration. So our business development manager role is to identify leads, create opportunities, send estimates, and confirm the sales order. Pretty simple. So this is sticking with classic NetSuite. The only difference is that we're going to be introducing the idea of a concept of a project associated right from the opportunity phase. So once a project's raised by project management, it will stick with the opportunity, it will stick with the estimate, and it'll stick with the sales order right the way through the sales pipeline. We're going to have a look at our project management role, whose role and dashboard permissions are all going to be set up about reviewing and scoping opportunities. So once a business development manager has set up an opportunity, set it to needs scoping, they'll ping it over to project management to get a plan or a fee estimate created and associated with the opportunity. This will also give them the opportunity to revise the opportunity and add services to it or take away services. So for example, after scoping, say if not enough consulting data to be added to cover the project manager can actually amend the opportunity and ping it back to business development and say, well, actually, no, it's going to require this much effort by our team to actually complete the service. They're also going to be having, they'll also be able to create a project plan, manage project tasks, things like that, tailor it. We can also create a project plan from a project template, which is quite neat. So it, again, automates it a little bit for you, but we'll go through that in a moment. In this setup as well, we've also got the project management team or the project manager set up to approve project time and expenses. On our expenses, we've actually got a two-way approval, which we'll go over in a moment. But they'll be able to manage and control time and expenses that their resources or the consultants are logging. And in general, they'll just be able to manage the projects, review key metrics on the projects like hour left, and if they have permissions, review graphs such as Gantt charts, project profitability, breakdown of projects per customer, things like that. So it's really, really useful. Third, we'll go into a consultant role, and it's the most basic role we're going to go over today. So we've really, really restricted the consultant's time down. We're really just reviewing them as a resource in this case and allowing them to see tasks that have been allocated to them. We're allowing them to log time and expenses to not only the customer, but the specific project and the specific task. So you can consolidate all of your information on a high-level overview when you're reviewing the project. And finally, we're going to have a look at the financial controller. Again, this is a fairly consolidated role. It can be split up to other, but we've got in here. Their job is to pick up on an invoice sales orders, approve expenses and invoice expenses. What they'll also be able to do is they'll be able to generate charges based on projects. So for example, when expenses and time's raised, they'll go ahead and generate the automated invoices which actually allow you to bill accurately for the time and expenses used on a particular project. So, and last of all is the financial reporting for CXO. Again, there's a load of jobs that a CXO could do, split up into CEO, CFO, COO, all want to see different bits of information. But we've just got a very generic set of data here, so we're going to have a look into financial and VAT reporting, financial metrics, project profitability, and financial forecasting. So it's a really powerful role which allows them to consume data more than enter data such as a consultant or a project manager. So it's more about consuming the high level. So as I said, the overview that we're going to be going over today is that we're going to identify an opportunity. We're going to then scope that opportunity and create a project plan with our project manager. We're then going to generate an estimate for our customer back in the business development manager once it's been scoped. And then we're going to convert that estimate into a sales order showing you the pipeline end to end and how automated it is. We're then going to create invoices for that particular sales order. So that's that section cleared away. And then go on to do things such as logging time and expenses. Once time and expenses have been logged against a project, we're then going to show you how that's managed within the project management or the project itself. And then we're going to invoice those expenses to the customer, that time and expenses to the customer. Show you how accurate it is when it actually pulls through time and expenses logged on the system. So if we just skip it out of this PowerPoint now, and we'll just head over to our NetSuite screen. We'll see here that we've landed it in our business development manager's profile. And we can see this dashboard set up revolving around all the tasks that the BDM would be doing on a regular basis, such as creating leads, contacts, prospects, seeing transactions or creating transactions such as offers, quotes, sales, looking at their sales reports and their pipeline reviews, and also other sales tools that they have at their disposal. We've also got a sell actual versus forecast KPI up here, and a few other KPI in core business intelligence metrics along the left-hand side here. But again, all this can be changed to suit your requirements. It's entirely up to you. Again, we've got a load of lists down here, so my open opportunities, my open tasks, my open phone calls, which are all linked to relevant companies. So again, it keeps all the data together. And this is entirely customizable per role, per user. You can do what you will. So for example, if my user wasn't really interested in seeing phone calls, they could just collapse phone calls and tasks, or again, they could just remove the tab altogether if they have the permissions awarded to them. If you wanted the particular user not to have the permissions to actually remove those dashboards, again, you can set that up into role permissions and say, I want them to see the same dashboard every time. So going off topic a little bit, what we're going to do is we're going to head back on and we're going to go through the first half of actually realizing an opportunity against the lead and actually setting it up. So if we come down to our KPIs, we'll notice a few really, really nice metrics here, such as my new leads, my open opportunities, and things like that. So opportunities that are already open, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new one. We can do this a number of ways. We can come up to our call to action and simply create opportunity. We could come up to sales transactions again, create opportunity. Or the way I like to do it is you can actually create the opportunity directly from the lead or customer record, which is really quite nice. So for example, if I come into my new leads this month and I click 3, because this is a real-time report and a point-in-time analysis, you can actually drill down into this report and it will generate a list of leads. And this is a list of leads by lead source in analysis. So we can see from a trade show, we've established this lead here, the Gamble Consulting Group, which is really cool. Again, because it's a NetSuite, you can drill down into all the records. So from drilling down onto the dashboard to the report, you can then drill down onto the lead profile. We can see this lead set up here. So we can see the customer name, you can see the sales rep who it's been associated to, which is Olivia King, me at the moment. We can see some contacts that have been assigned to it. We can also see other financial information. Quite a lot of this was actually pre-filled and defaulted. And again, the user can overwrite it if they wish, but you know, that's entirely up to the way you wish to process this. So from the leads, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down and drop down and create an opportunity. Notice that I can create a project, an estimate, or a sales order right off the bat if I want to skip the opportunity and estimate phasing. However, I want to go through the entire sales pipeline, just show you here. So if we go up to opportunity, this will load our opportunity form. And it will already know the company that we're trying to create it for. And again, you can fill in a title. What we're going to do is, I'm just going to give the opportunity a title. So I'm going to call it Office Redesign. And then I'm going to come down here and review the rest of the document. So notice that I've got a couple of tabs up here that I'm going to overlook for now, such as the job or the project. Now what we're going to do is when we get to project management phase, we're actually going to assign a project to it, but this isn't the business development manager's job to do that. Again, if you wanted to make use of multiple forms, so reviewing different fields and filling in different fields, you can go ahead and select the form that you want to fill in, but we'll just land on defaulted. What we're going to do is before we look at the forecasting, I'm just going to go ahead and add our items in here. So say, for example, in this opportunity, I want to add our structural design project, which has got a base rate of £10,000. But then, after speaking to the customer, or sorry, as an opportunity, I know that I'll want an extra, say, for example, 10 hours of work on top of that because there's going to be a big project here, a big opportunity. And again, this will all roll up to the project total, so we can see that we've got £22,500 worth of services here. Taking into account our probability of close, we've got a weighted total there, which is taken at 10%. Now, what's really nice about this is, as Salesforce Automation offers us the ability to actually map probabilities to individual sales statuses for accurate forecasting. So, for example, at the state qualified or the status qualified, the probability of close is predicted for our forecast at 10%. However, when we actually bump this up to need scoping, we can see the probability is mapped at 40%, which again brings up our weighted total here again. It's really, really nice and clear. Loads of automation and automation you can control as well. This is all in the setup of the system. If we go over to the sales here, we can fill in a bit more information on the customer. All this could have been identified at the lead stage as well. You can fill it in at any stage. It'll just carry it on to the next record. So for example, you can set in their budget, you can set up their sales readiness, their buying time frame, and their buying reason. It's really quite nice. In this setup, we've also got the ability to add scoping notes for the project management team, which is really nice, and this can be customized how you like. So for example, our business development manager can go ahead and add a suggested project template there, so that when the project's created or when the project manager is reviewing the project, they'll have some sort of idea about what project template or what projects the business development manager has recommended. We've also got a desired start date here, which is automatically populated today. You can kick back if you want. It's just going to be pulled onto the project record, and you can manage it from there. And again, we've got some key requirements here that we can fill in if you've identified any at the time before scoping, and potential red flags. So for example, potential red flag might be that the customer is based in the north of England, and travel costs might be particularly high for this project. It's just giving the next person more information to make a calculated decision. But we've got this in here now, and again, we can fill this in, or we don't have to fill this in. It's entirely up to you and entirely up to your processes. Again, we can add data validation to the form. So for example, if you did need some content for red flags filled in, or if you did need some key requirements filled in, we can add that validation so that the user couldn't actually submit the form without filling in that information. And that's true for almost all of the fields that you see on the record and any of the custom fields, which is really quite nice. So what we can do is we can go ahead and we can save this down, happy with that opportunity. And what that's saying to us is that the business development manager has done their job at the moment, and they're sending that off to project management to go ahead and start scoping. So it's an opportunity that's in progress. If we navigate back to our home screen, we'll see that our KPIs should have updated, and our My Open Opportunities should have updated as well. So there we go, we see the Gamble Consulting Group, we've got a new projected total up there, and we've got our opportunity in the status needs scoping, which is really nice. On our KPIs down here as well, we've got our My Opportunities to be scoped. This is bumped up to 5 again, and that would work just as before. You can drill down into it and get a really nice review of all your projects that need scoping, or sorry, all of your opportunities that need scoping. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hop into the project management role and have a look at what they're viewing. So we'll go and do that now. So reviewing the project management role is totally different. It's got a totally different feel. It's got a completely different set of metrics and completely different functions put in front of the user. NetSuite roles and dashboards, or sorry, NetSuite dashboards is all about putting the relevant information in front of the user. It's always pulling from the same data source, so it's shared information. It's just restricting what that particular user can see and putting the tools that they use day to day in front of them to allow them to do their job more effectively. So for example, instead of seeing opportunities up front, our project management sees all their projects up here, which is really quite nice. Again, they've got project billing forecasts, things like that, really useful metrics to them. And we've also got My Opportunities to be scoped set at 5 as well. And we've got plenty of other bits of information such as resource allocations and milestones this month. So it allows you to control it. Notice that their center bar is different as well. It's centered around CRM and PSA, professional services automation, time and expense. Just gives them a different set of data or a different set of tools to actually use. So we come down here under My Opportunities to be scoped. We can drill down into this report and we can see our office redesign opportunity here as well. So we've got that here. Just threw me because the customer's name's not on this list. For example, if we wanted to get the customer's name on this list, we could just edit the form and add the customer name. It is as easy as that. It's really nice. You can customize the view exactly on exactly the data that you want to see. So for example, if we load up our office redesign, this will load up the original opportunity that we've just created for the Gamble Consulting Group, and we can see the relevant information in here. Now, what our user can do is they can come into here and they can actually go through the scoping, they can review the red flags if there were any, and the key requirements and things like that. What we can also do is they can play around with the statuses and update it as and when they need to. So right off the bat, we can see that, for example, after this has been scoped, the project manager will receive a document back and they can go ahead and actually add this to the document. So we can see we're going to upload the SRP fee estimate document. And this can be imported either from your NetSuite file cabinet, or you can import it directly from it to this page by using the plus button. It's really nice and straightforward. What we can also do is we can update the status here. So once it's been scoped and our SRP fee estimate's been updated, we can go ahead and say that scoping is complete. which will take it out of the project management tasks and put it back into business development ready for the next stage, which is sending off the estimate, creating the sales order, things like that. Before we move on, we can also assign a project here in status pending. So for example, we've sent back the documents ready for the project, and the project's ready to go once we've got the sign off from the estimate. So let's go ahead and do that. So again, because it's a NetSuite and we create records using pop-up windows, we don't have to create the record, reload the form and add it. We can do it from inside the browser when you're looking at the opportunity form by simply clicking the plus button. This will load up our project form, and we can see that our job name's here. You can also assign a project template just in there, and you can assign a job name. So for example, what do we call this? We call this our off design. We can carry that across. And if we wanted to, we could set up automation here, which brought in the job name from the opportunity title and the project template from the project template on the opportunity record. It's entirely dependent on your requirements. So from here, we can see a few preferences that will actually come down with our project template. We can see that the billing type is charged, and if there was a billing schedule associated with this, we could actually assign a billing schedule to dictate when, how, and when the projects were billed. You can also see that the preferences have come along with the project template, and say, for example, things like limit time and expenses to resources being unticked. There's loads of options here that we'll go through in a moment. But what we're going to do is we're going to save it for now. And just a moment before I go, again, we could kick back the start date to whenever we wanted, if we wanted to. So we're going to go ahead and save that and just wait for that to load there. It'll take a few minutes because what this is doing is that's actually going to go ahead, and it's not only going to create the project, but it's going to create all of the project tasks and all the records under that project ready from scratch. So you can go ahead, you can edit it, you can manipulate it, but at least you've got a good starting point. From here, if we go ahead and save the opportunity, what that's going to do is that's going to confirm it, and it's going to ping it back to the business development and say the scoping scheme completed, here's your fee estimate document, go ahead and send them out an estimate. Before we do that though, let's just review the job that's been created, and we open this in a new tab. What we should see is that a load of new project tasks are being completed. So notice down here that because we've actually created this from a project template, it's brought in our general project plan, which consists of scoping, design, and delivery. And notice that you can have subject tasks and things like that as well. So you can have a proper hierarchy of tasks. You can have dependencies, which we'll go into a little bit later. So for example, each of these tasks can be associated an estimate amount of hours and actual work hours. Now this will map off our estimate hours against how many hours we actually log in timesheets, which is really nice. And we can see that the start dates are dependent on one another. So for example, finishing the architect's, finishing the designer's process owner interviews is dependent on finishing the architect's design interviews. So that's kicked it back for start date. All of these start dates are depending on how many estimated hours we've got in there and which dependencies are actually set. So for example, if we come into project managers, it'll open up the project task itself where we can assign specific resources. But what we can also do is we can actually look at dependencies. Yes, we can see that this has got 7 hours estimated work. It's a finish to start dependency, and it's depending on us finishing our designer's task, which is really quite cool. So from here, what we can do is we can review financials as well. And this gives us a really nice high-level overview of how much in value we've got billed, pending, remaining, and things like that. And again, open charges, ready for building, hold for building, and non-billable, labour and expenses. What it'll also allow us to do is dictate our billing type. And notice we've got it set to charge-based, but there are a number of billing types that we can actually choose here. So we can choose charge-based, which is, in my opinion, one of the most flexible. We could charge fixed bids. We can have fixed bid milestone and time and materials. Plenty of options here, and if you'd like us to go over them, by all means we can run you through the exact differences between each four. But today we're just going to be going over charge-based. And from here what you can do is you could have either created the rules with the projects, or just as equally, we can create specific time-based and specific expense-based rules depending on the project. So this is how and when both time logged and expenses logged is built through. So for example, if you wanted to log expenses and you only wanted to bill at the end of the month, for example, you could set up a rule that says once a month calculate charges so that they're invoiced, which is really quite nice. And again with time. And you can also do things like markup services. So for example, if you were going to, if you were charging your customer, or sorry, if you'd logged an expense of a certain amount, you can again mark it up for whatever reason there. Again, we'll just show you an example about how easy it is to create these time-based and expense-based rules. You just come under the section and create time-based or expense-based. It will pop up a screen here, and it gives you loads of options in terms of rates and filters. You can just go in, head, and fill in a name for the rule, specify a rule order, so if you've got multiple rules and they conflict, they hopefully won't conflict, and fill in the rest of the information there. Again, if we need to go through a more detailed review, please send any questions after the webinar and we'll go through that. But we'll just save that down. Having a rule there will just allow us to actually, or having this rule here, will just allow us to process a charge on demand for any time logged against this project. We can see then now it's saved. We've got it shown under the time-based rules section. Again, with the expense-based rules, we'll go ahead and we'll do the same with that. Go ahead and save that there. Good. So now we've got a time-based rule and expense-based rule associated with this project. We've got all of our project tasks down here. We've got all of our hours set up. At this point, the project manager can go in and make amendments to the project task, things like that. But at the moment, it's absolutely fine for us. What we're going to do from here, we're going to go back onto the business development manager profile and actually pick up that the opportunity has been scoped and then send the customer out an estimate. So from here, if we just give the my open opportunities a refresh, we can see that our Gamble Consulting Group, the scoping has been completed. It will also show down our KPIs down here, but what we can do is we can load that up. From here, we can see that the additions to the document that project management has made, and we can also see this in the audit trail under the system information. So we can see that whichever user has actually uploaded the estimate documentation and things like that. So for example here we've added a document and quite easily load that up, review it, close it down, download it if we need to, whatever we want. But we can see at this stage the scoping is complete, it's ready to actually send out an estimate here. So what we can do is we can just go to our call to action and create an estimate, and this will pull in all of the existing information. Now the estimate can be changed once it's actually loaded up if we need to, so if we need to amend the estimate for whatever reason, but in this case we will keep it the same. So notice here that the project that we've just created for it is pulled through, the title is pulled through, our opportunities pulled through, our fee estimate documentation is pulled through. Everything's automated to keep it all tied together, which is really, really nice. And again, what we've got is we've got a slightly different form here that opens it up to advanced billing. So we can see our billing schedules now have arrived down here. So we can either dictate the billing schedule based on the order as a whole or as individual line items. So for example, if this needs to be split over 12 months, over 3 months, say 50% up front, you can pretty much entirely customize the billing schedule to how you want them to work. We've also got an update in status here. So now our status from opportunity will be upgraded from needs scoping, or sorry, scoping completed to proposed. That meant that our pipeline probability has been upgraded to 50% and our expected close date is set there as well. And you can actually choose to actually include this or omit it from the forecast in this stage, which is really quite nice. So let's go ahead and save that document. And we can see our estimates just loaded up there. And again, we can print it if we want to, just so we can review that. And we can see that this document's printed here. We can see exactly what the units are for, and we've got a nice total amount there. One thing that's nice about NetSuite as well is these forms are entirely customizable in HTML. So we can go in here and align these with your existing branding. So we can make them look exactly how you want them to. From here, if the customers agree to the estimate, again, you can just follow it in the sales pipeline by upgrading it to a sales order. And just like jump from opportunity to estimate, it will retain all the information. So it will retain the customer's name, the opportunity, the job, with the estimate documentation, all the line items as well. It just keeps it really, really, really simple. And you can do this on an order-by-order basis, or there are tools that allow you to do it with multiple orders. So, for example, if you wanted to convert 10 sales orders, we can go ahead and allow you to do that. I noticed things, just to show you here, things like the documentation has stayed on as well, which would be quite nice. So from here, what we're going to do is, now that the sales order has been done, once we go back to the estimate, you can track back through the sales pipeline. By tracking back, we've gone back to the estimate's been processed, so we go back to the opportunity will be closed and won. Now it's time for our consultant to go ahead and log time against that particular project and expenses. Now to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the project number so we can log time and expenses specifically to this project and get it here. That's our 40. There we go. So I'm just going to jump into our consultant's profile. And just like project management was different to business development management, so is our consulting profile. You'll see that we've got far less tools up at the top, so that you can't access any records that they're not supposed to. They haven't got a search function. They've really only got the reminders about calls and tasks to complete, the amount of time that they're spending on projects, and again, key tasks like entering expense reports on weekly time. So let's go ahead and do some of that. So we can load up our timesheet here where no time's been entered. What we can do is we can just enter our project. And we can see that our new office design project here, or PRJ1275, has just been loaded up. That selected it for that customer and job. And we can even dictate the task on a granular level. So we can come down here, we can say what tasks we're working on. So for example, if our consultant was working on stakeholder interviews, say for a couple of days here, let's put it in 3 days. Oh, and let's just say their service item services for tracking later and the expense rules. It's automatically picked up that this time is billable. What we can also do is we can set another amount of time and set a different task. Say, for example, they're working on project interviews, or sorry, architects interviews. You can go ahead and add that time in here as well. Let's just add one hour. And again, add our services in. Again, that's data validation showing there. So I've tried to enter this time without a service item, and it's warned me that that's not possible. So it almost forces the user to enter the information that's required. Once that's done, what we can do is we can go ahead and click submit. And I'll actually process this time to pending approval. We can see that because it's in blue. And notice we have a key up here which will tell you. Once our project manager is approved, this will turn green and so on and so forth. So we can go back to our home and go ahead and enter our first expense report. Now this is done in much the same manner. Again, you can link it to not only a customer, but a specific customer and project to keep it all consolidated. Say, for example, you can log it against a category, which will then post it to a specific account. Say, for example, this one's for hotels. It picks up that it's billable. You can say, for example, this one was £300 net. You can say 2 times nights. And again, you can attach a file and say that you've got a receipt if needs be. If you also want to use multi-currency, that will actually up to that as well. So you can select the currency that you want to enter, and it will automatically convert based on the exchange rate that's live in the system at the moment. So what we're going to do is, now that we've added that, we're going to go ahead and click submit. And that's going to submit our expense report for approval. Now, this is at the moment pending supervisor approval, but what we've actually got on this, on our expense reports is two-way approvals, so they have to be approved by both the project manager and the financial controller as well. So two-way, so it's really, really, really good. And that's entirely customizable depending on yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our project manager's profile, and we're going to see that on their reminders portal down the left-hand side, we've now got 2 expense reports to approve and an extra time records to approve. So we can dive into these forms, and we can see the report that will tell us time that's been logged. So we can see that Anna Green has logged an amount for £300. Again, that might be enough for some people. What we can do is you can drill down to even further, and you can see that Anna Green, our consultant who we were just in, has logged that for 2 nights stay against this particular project. So what we can do is we can go ahead and we can approve this just by clicking it and pressing save. Again, you can check mark all and press save just to automate it a little bit further or speed up the process. It's entirely up to you. Notice this isn't fully approved. This is switched from requesting approval to ready for accounting approval. So it will move on to the next step. In a similar manner, what we can do is we can actually approve time as well. So notice we put up here the Gamble Consulting Group. You can actually go ahead and check this time off. We can see what time was spent on each particular task and if it was billable or not. And you go ahead and approve that, or at the same time reject it if you don't agree with that. So that will affect how it's actually billed to the customer. So we're going to go ahead and approve that time. Heading back onto our home screen, what we can do is we can come to our project and we see that our office redesign project has actually shown a 16.3% complete now. So our time's effectively logged there. So we can see that out of our potential 172 hours, we've actually spent 28 hours on it, which is the time that's been logged. If we review the project itself, we can actually scroll down and we can see where this time's been logged. So we can see that 44% of the overall scoping task has been completed and 100% of the senior stakeholder interviews. However, only 25% of the process owner interviews has been done. And you can see a really nice breakdown of each hierarchy and how they actually group up. That's quite cool. You can also review a Gantt chart here, which will give you an overview of a project. Again, this is fairly standard. You can do things such as highlighting the critical path. If you'd set a baseline, you could review the baseline and also filter tasks with less than 30% progress. So what we can do from here, just before we go on to generate the charges, is we'll just approve that final expense report on the financial side. So we go up to our financial controller. We can see that Anna Green has got £300 ready for approval. We'll go ahead and we'll click save on that, which is going to approve that expense report. They could have done exactly the same thing for project management, reviewed it, rejected it, things like that. So we hop back into project management here. We hop back onto our project office redesign. We should be able to come down to financial and generate our charges. Now, we've got our time-based rule and expense-based rule here, which will hopefully pick up on the charges which will generate charges for our time and expense we've just logged. Bear in mind, this will do this on a schedule that can be set up to do sort of hourly, daily, weekly, however frequently you want to do it, and that's why it's not generated at the moment. So, for example, we can actually manually kick this off by create charges as well. So we're going to do that now. So what this is doing, this is looking at the rules, and this is looking at the time and expenses logged against this particular project, and this is creating accurate charges to bill out to the customer. So we go ahead and we just reload this project, and we head under financial. We can now see that £3,492 worth of charges have been generated, and we can see in the charge run history that we've got 4 charges generated for time, so our 4 separate days added on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and our 1 expense for that £300 hotel room. You can also review the list of total charges under your charges window, and you can see these all side by side, and you can see its stage as well, what charge it is and for what project. What we can do as well is you can drill down into our pending charges screen. Say, for example, if any of these needs to be marked as not billable or put on hold or whatever, or zeroed out, you can go ahead and you can do that. You do it independently by clicking each box, or we can mark all. You can say mark for hold, marked on billable, things like that, which is really quite nice. So our next step here is just to take those charges and put them onto an invoice. The way we can do this is by going to Financial Controller. I'm going to do it in Administrator, but typically your Financial Controller would have the setup to say bill customers, and then we can bill these out to our customers. So now the charges are generated, if they're pending billing, you can go ahead and bill those out. So we've got this nice little tab here called Clients to Bill. If we load that up, we can see all of the clients that we need to bill, and again, you can refine these however you like. If we come down to here, we can see that the Gamble Consulting Group, for the office redesign, we are scheduled to bill them for £3,492, and again, you can just check that and click Submit. So if you're running a large operation, you can do these all at once. You can schedule it, do things like that, or you can do it individually. So just clicking our invoice button here, which will load up an individual invoice. Or when it loads up its invoice, it will load it into a form, and it'll actually generate your line items for you as well. You can see it's dancing around there a little bit, and what that's doing, it's actually adding each of the charges or each of the independent charges onto the invoice itself. So we can see that we've got one travel expense here for £300, and we've got one service expense here for 28 hours, billed at £114 an hour, which adds it up. And you can also see the reference to each of the individual charges which have generated this particular line item. From here, what we can do is we can click Save, and that's our invoice is created, and it's put on our AR register, our Accounts Receivable register. And again, just like the estimate, just like the sales order, once it's actually saved, we can go ahead and print a copy of it, send it to them, however we want to deliver that invoice to our customer. The thing to take away from here is that our our charges generated from a project have been accurately added to an invoice. So what we're going to do is we're just going to head back to our project management here. We'll have a look at our project, and we're just going to review the high level of it again. So we can see obviously that our estimated work is 172. We can see our actual work. We can see our remaining work, percentage complete, things like that. But if we go on to our financial tab, we can see that it's removed the amount from pending billing and it's moved it into billed. So we've got a really nice high-level overview there. We can also see how much we've billed for both labour and both expenses independently of one another as well. So that's, yeah, we have that there. Just to finish this off, what we can do is we can have a look at the reports that we can process through this. We're all familiar with standard NetSuite reports, but what we can do is with our PS Operating, we can look at things like allocated utilization by resource, by project, planned utilization by resource per project, actual utilization by resource by project, and allocated versus actual. You can also go into things like project profitability, project billing, and revenue by client. So it gives you a really, really powerful set of reporting tools there to report at a really high level as well. And again, because you've got the report builder in NetSuite, what we can do is we can customize those reports to a certain extent if the records relate to one another to actually create custom reports that fit your business. Okay, just to finish this off, I'm going to hop back into our presentation, which hopefully you can see now, and just forward on to the next slide here. So, I mean, when you're looking at NetSuite SRP, it all boils down to one question really. So what? I mean, NetSuite adapts to your business and essentially allows you to do 5 things better. So it allows you to complete projects faster by making you more organized, allowing you to organize your resources, allows you to invoice accurately through automation, not having to calculate costs manually. It allows you to track billable and project costs, increase resource utilization, and speed up cash flow essentially, all through professional services automation. So I'd like to thank you for your time today. If you've got any questions, I'd like to invite you to give a call to 01252 811 663 or drop an email to sales@nolanbusinesssolutions.com. Thank you very much for your time.